Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a much loved face of the dark feminine, Lilith. I haven't really spoken about this, I guess, aspect of my life yet, but I'd say since about December, I've felt a very strong connection to the goddess Lilith, or demoness. You might know her as the demoness. I first began my journey with Lilith as a face of the Femme Fatale archetype. However, I've been aware that she's been an energy that I work with for quite some time now. When I first started connecting with Hecate, I checked in and I did an oracle reading on what other energies I was working with. And Lilith was one of the energies that popped up, and it made absolute sense with all the things that I deal with internally. And I think she predominantly does speak through the archetype of the femme fatale, or the deadly woman. It's how I predominantly work with her and connect with her as a face of that archetype, even though she is an archetype herself. It's something that I feel very close and connected with. It's an aspect of her that I really do enjoy working with. And I've spent, I'd say, the past couple of months really getting to know her energy, and my work with her and my connection with her is very different from other faces of the dark feminine, such as Hecate. I have a very different relationship with the two goddesses, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. I just have a cup of coffee here. Feel free to join me in a beverage, and I really would like to hear your opinions on Lilith if you work with that face of the dark feminine. I'm really curious. I'm so interested. The past couple of months that I've worked with her have been just a lot of ups and downs. She's a very intense energy, and she is definitely not for the faint of heart. That is what I constantly heard about working with her, is that she's not for the faint of the heart. Is definitely, I agree 100%. She's a very intense energy. She's very confrontational. And the past couple of months working with her, although they've been extremely difficult, they've been extremely rewarding at the same time. As I was connecting with this Femme Fatale archetype, I will link the other videos that I did on this topic. So if you want to kind of get like my introduction to that archetype, you can kind of just go check those videos out. So I don't have to repeat myself. But when I first began really connecting with this archetype, I was very connected to the film Noir era. And as I've mentioned in my previous video where I talk about this archetype, I've always been connected to this archetype, particularly in my young adulthood, in my early 20s, to even mid. I would go in and out, but I always went back to this archetype. I embody it. I'm very connected to this archetype. I'm very drawn to it. I even had like a classic glamorous Hollywood themed wedding. I've went through a period in my life where I would dress like I was from, one of those classic film noir movies, and I'm getting back into it again. So I wear a lot of faux fur. I wear a lot of leather and lace as well. And I feel like those are excellent ways to connect with that archetype is, at least for me, my experience has been really about embodying the energy, taking it on, channeling it, really connecting with Lilith as a face of this archetype, as the deadly woman, really channeling her energy and embodying it. I do a lot of this embodiment through cosmetics, color, as well as scent. I've noticed I am drawn to fragrance, perfumes, lotions, even shower gels, candles. That is a huge part of my practice right now, as well as lipsticks. I like to, if you're not new to my channel, you know, I like to match my eyeshadow and my lipstick to my tarot card that I pull for the day. And I find that that's also an excellent way to connect with this archetype and to Lilith, by the colors you wear, the clothes you wear. Something about her, at least in my relationship with her, is I've lost about 20 pounds over the past couple of months, and I felt like she was that friend that was like, what are you wearing, Amanda? Like, we need to get you some new clothes. You need to get some pants that fit. And then I was trying out a new style. I'm wearing velvet today. I've picked up a couple of pieces of velvet and faux leather as well to really to connect with Lilith in a different way, besides just cosmetics and scent. Another thing I do is I've set up an altar for her, and I like to use imagery for Lilith. I will show you a particular, there's an oracle card from the Queen Mab. I think it's Queen Maeve. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like Mab is Maeve, I'm pretty sure. But everybody calls it Queen Mab. So, but I have that oracle deck, and I love using it to work with Lilith. Hecate is another beloved goddess of mine, which I should do a whole other video on her that's coming up. But I do use the Queen Mab Oracle to connect with Lilith, and I find that that deck, its imagery and its guidebook, the messages in that guidebook connect with her energy and what she wants to speak about so well. And there's a particular card in that deck that I think it's how I experience and how I see Lilith in my mind's eye. She always appears to me as this like a young woman with these full sensual lips, and she's wearing snakes as clothes. Like, she has snakes coiled around her body, and she's fully nude. So there's a card that kind of looks similar to how I experience her in my mind's eye, and I like to put that out up on the altar as a representation of her. I like to also put objects that I use, like lipsticks, for example, on the altar for her to charge with her energy. And I feel like that it really, what's the word? Any intentions that you want to set that day, it amplifies it. So that's what I like to do. I like to also put candles that I associate with her through scent. So I'll go over that scent profile in a bit, but I like to put those up on the altar for her to charge as well as like my shower. I have a shower gel right now on the altar that I want her to charge. And I have a lotion that I wear regularly that, to me, it smells like that archetype. It smells like what I picture her smelling like. Scent profiles, champagne, a musky scent, rose, like a very sensual scent, one that's very earthy. It's very grounding, but it's very sensual. It's very sexy. It's very lusty. I associate those types of scents with her. Cinnamon would work as well. I've used vanilla and apple. When I first started connecting with the Femme Fatale archetype, although I knew that I was connecting with Lilith. Another huge, or another like proof of this, one of her symbols is the apple. And I was eating an apple a day, I noticed, and all the products I was using had apple in them. I was using an apple cinnamon, not apples, I was using an apple champagne lotion. So I noticed that's one of her biggest symbols, at least for me, as well as bats, spiders, and just her energy. It's very distinct. Although Hecate is also a face of the dark feminine, she is so different energetically. She feels completely different from Lilith. Lilith has a very fiery and distinct energy about her. Now I kind of want to discuss some of the things that I encountered while working with her, as a face of the dark feminine, as a face of this deadly woman archetype, right? Is I noticed that, particularly for me, because I was raised Roman Catholic, we have a very challenging, negative view on demons. So I had to spend some time really just connecting in with what a demon means to me. To me, demon, it comes from the Greek word daemon, I'm pretty sure. Although I might be mispronouncing that. I'm sorry, I'm not Greek. But it does come from that Greek word. And it just meant any spirit or god that, to me, they act on their own code of ethics. So they're not just sort of listening and following to what they should be doing, or a certain code of ethics that they were sort of born into. A lot of the times that are in a prescribed religion, or this could even be cultural. So a lot of the times, and I feel like this is something that Lilith will also confront you with, is what do you believe in? Like, what do you stand for? She really wants you to develop your own code of ethics, your own agenda, if you will. What is it you want to accomplish in this life? Like, she can be very, her energy can be very confrontational with respects to that. And I feel like it is possibly, it's not just her, I'm sure it's anybody or any spirit or god that can be classified as a demon. Ultimately, I don't think that they're good or bad. I feel like although some of them could come off as more dark, I do feel like a lot of them are neutral. And to me, at least right now in my practice, when we talk about dark or light, or angelic and demon, we're discussing really subconscious and consciousness. Demon being linked to the subconscious. These beings are adept at doing shadow work, helping you do shadow work, and really penetrating that subconscious mind. Whereas angel energy, or even solar beings, you'll see this a lot in solar beings, solar god, solar deity, is that they're really adept at the consciousness, and helping you integrate. So I would recommend, if you do want to spend some time with this face of deity, you might want to really connect in with what what those words mean to you and what these energies mean to you. And I spent quite some time just connecting in with that before I approached Lilith, even though she, I'm pretty sure, has been an energy that I've worked with for a very long time. Another thing is when I first started really connecting in with the Deadly Woman archetype, a lot of what Lilith wanted to speak about, a lot, like I noticed, unlike my connection with Hecate, my connection with Hecate had to do a lot with divination, and also just going out in nature. Just getting my ass out in nature was a huge thing. When I connect with, that face of the dark feminine, Hecate, Lilith hasn't been so much about the divination aspect, or connecting through oracle or tarot. It's been really about, like I already mentioned, embodiment, really channeling in that energy. But I've noticed I would have some very interesting conversations with my peers, my colleagues at work, even my family members, where I feel like this energy, Lilith, she really confronts you with, like you'll have conversations about repression, sexism. You'll have conversations about inequality is a huge thing that pops up a lot. But you'll also be confronted with your feelings about those things. And you'll be also confronted about your feelings about vanity, selfishness, and issues that impact women. But I've already mentioned in my first Femme Fatale video, or I'm pretty sure I've mentioned in some of my most or more recent videos, that I find this archetype of the Deadly Woman to be extremely confrontational. Lilith is very confrontational. She exposes you to the areas in your life where you lack power, and the energy is very good at exposing you to those things. And she has a way of, I've mentioned this before, she can flip the script. So she can show you where you lack empowerment, and then the energy will flip where you are then empowered. She'll show you where you're actually empowered when you previously felt like you weren't. So she has this almost I want to say like an alchemy to it. She can like flip the script, or and I feel like maybe it's an aspect of her, even an aspect of other deity that might come through as a face of the Femme Fatale archetype. Another thing is I noticed with myself is I was confronted, questioned, as well as just I really got to know my own feelings about the devil archetype. And I saw it in a new way. Lilith was able to really energetically bring a lot of emotions up, and had me make some really interesting realizations where I saw this archetype in a completely new light. So you might find that as well, that you'll be looking at older archetypes that you thought you were aware of, and you'll see them in a new light. So finally, I wanted to discuss some of the decks that I like to work with Lilith. So as I've already previously discussed, divination isn't a huge part of my practice with Lilith. It is a practice, a daily practice that I do with her. But I find that Lilith, she just communicates energetically very well. I should say, I notice that her messages come through more in the conversations I have in my private life, or even in my professional life, Like I said, I've had some really interesting conversations with my colleagues at work about, I'm pretty sure, things that Lilith is trying to convey to me or speak to me about. But a lot of my work with her is more just embodying her. It's really channeling in her energy and experiencing it through the flesh. In my waking life, I guess I could say. But I do, like I said, I do connect with her using divination. And one of the decks that I really enjoy working with her. It's not my favorite, but it does have her energy. It does speak to the vampiric or even succubus aspect of her. It's the Tarot of Vampyres by Ian Daniels, and I'm sure this doesn't surprise anybody. This is probably the perfect deck. The deck is very sensual. The figures in the deck are beautiful. There's a lot of vampire images, vampiric. There's even roses, which is one of her symbols. There's all sorts of all different colored roses. But what I like about this deck is the sensuality, the lust that you feel. It's very present within even just the vampire archetype. And within Lilith and her energy. This deck is excellent for connecting to your empowerment, your sexuality, your sensuality, for those days that you want to just feel like a badass, or you just want to feel sexy in your own skin. I feel like this is a wonderful deck, and she's honestly a wonderful energy and face of the dark feminine for that. So this is the Tarot of Vampyres by Ian Daniels. So this is a deck that I do turn to every once in a while to connect with Lilith. One of my favorite tarot decks to connect with Lilith, especially as I was really deep into the Femme Fatale archetype work that I was doing, is the Witch Sister Tarot. This deck wants to speak to me about my empowerment. She wants to talk to me about where I lack empowerment and where I can step up, how I can experience feeling more empowered. I mean, even the guidebook talks a lot about sovereignty, and I feel Lilith very strongly through this deck. I know that it's like a Celtic deck, but ironically, even the Queen Mab Oracle, which is the deck that I primarily use for her, it's also Celtic. Like Queen Mab is from the Celtic pantheon. Lilith just really speaks through the imagery of both decks so wonderfully. I'll show you some of the imagery from this Oracle deck. It's a wonderful deck to connect with Lilith. This deck talks a lot about sovereignty, empowerment. There is a nice balance of light and dark within the deck, although I connect more with the dark imagery. I just feel like it really embodies Lilith's energy more. But there is a good amount of dark imagery in the deck to connect with her. And the deck talks a lot about personal accountability, setting boundaries, really stepping into your own empowerment. And I really enjoy connecting with the aspect of Lilith, like right after she was cast out of Eden in the myth, I can almost like envision her being cast out of Eden, and she's in the desert, and she's learning to be, or she's learning who she is and how to step up for herself, how to be there for herself. And I connect very strongly, I guess, with that aspect of Lilith. And with this deck, I like to pull a card usually once a day at the end of the day. Let me see if I can find the image that I associate with her the most. So there is nudity. This is the image that I associate with Lilith the most in the deck. I like to just leave it out on the altar as a visual representation of her. But yeah, that is the Queen Mav Oracle. So the last deck that I want to show you is the Goddess of Love Tarot. I recently purchased this for myself as a birthday gift. My birthday actually just passed on the 9th, so I saw that it was back in stock finally, because I had my eye on this deck for maybe a month or two, and it wasn't being sold. It was, for some reason, I don't know what happened. Maybe they had some sort of issues, but I quickly saw a couple of weeks ago that it was back in stock, and I quickly grabbed it. So I'm happy about that, and I've been really enjoying connecting with this deck. I do like to work with it with a lot of different love goddesses. I can feel particularly Ishtar in this deck, but I do feel Lilith in this deck as well as a face of a love goddess, of a lust goddess, and a goddess of sexuality. It is new to my collection, but I do feel a strong connection. I know that we have some work to do together, and that's why she's in my collection. And I'm still figuring that work out. I'm still figuring out her personality as well. There is some nudity in this deck. This deck is very fiery. I find Lilith to be an extremely fiery deity. She is... she just activates your life. It's very quick. It's very, she really knows how to light a fire under your ass. I don't really know any other better way to describe that, but she really activates your life, and it's so fast. And I find like this deck sort of speaks to that fiery energy to her. It has I would say fire and air are the two elements I feel the most, particularly fire, through this deck and its imagery. This deck wants to talk about sex. It wants to talk about your passion, like what gets you up in the morning, what drives you forward. Aspects of the devil archetype that are present within Lilith, even as a face of that archetype. And by the way, Lilith is the devil card in this deck, so I do feel like an aspect of her within this deck, and its conversations with me. The journal prompts are excellent. In the guidebook, she talks about the planetary associations of the cards and the astrological associations. She explains who the goddess is in all the major arcanas. It's a purely divine feminine deck as well. I'm pretty sure there's no male imagery in the deck, although I am still getting to know her. I just started working with her, and I'm still trying to figure out why she's here. I know that there is some work that we're meant to do together, but we're still tapping into that. But that is all the decks that I really use to work with her. A lot of my connection with her, it's been completely different from any other deity work that I've done in the past. It's been a very interesting experience. It's been very eye-opening. Lastly, as I said, I do enjoy working with Lilith as a face of the Femme Fatale. For my birthday, both my mother-in-law and my husband were generous. They were kind enough to get me some items off my wish list on Amazon. And I got this beautiful Film Noir hardcover book. It's like this vibrant orangey red. I'm pretty sure it looks, it's like an orange color. As well as it's hardcover. When you take the sleeve off, I love how sleek it looks. It's black and white, and then you've got like the, I don't know, it's like an orangey, like a brick red, I guess you could call that. Like, this is a beautiful lipstick color, unrelated, but it's such a beautiful book. I like to keep this out on her altar. And I like to practice, I think it's called bookomancy, where you just, you know, you find a page that you feel intuitively called to, and then you get like, you get a message that way. One thing that I have been doing is I've been creating my own Femme Fatale deck, tarot deck, I'm using Film Noir imagery, because unfortunately there really isn't anything like that. There is the pulp tarot with like the movie. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling with my words today. There's the pulp tarot with the movie covers or posters, that's it, posters. Another book that I got for my birthday that's Film Noir related is the Film Noir Fatal Woman book, which I absolutely love too. It's not as nice as the hardcover book that I got, but it's big. It has like these full page pictures, and it tells you where the images are from, like what movies. So it's a beautiful deck. It's a beautiful book. I'm so happy I have it in my reservoir, in my collection. Yeah, this is my quick little video on Lilith, working with Lilith as a face of the deadly woman archetype, or Femme Fatale archetype. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. I feel like I somehow stumbled upon possibly some of my life's work is to work with this archetype and really teach about it. I've felt such a strong, deep connection with this beautiful face of the dark feminine, and I understand that there's a lot of fear when it comes to working with Lilith. And I do feel like some of that fear is warranted. She's definitely not an easygoing, I guess I could say, deity. She activates your life in so many ways. She will challenge you. She will push you. And it's definitely something that you want to take into deep consideration if you want to work with that type of an energy where, you know, she'll light aspects of your life on complete fire, but it's probably because it needs to be on fire. It's hard to have parts of your life just completely rocked, but there is a great sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. You will step up for yourself in ways that you felt were never possible. You will understand things about yourself that you never knew, you never saw in yourself. And you will just you'll make deeper connections in your life, and you'll be more appreciative of these connections as well. And you're more interested in creating the deeper, more genuine connections too, I've noticed. So, and this is just from a couple of months of working with Lilith. So I am looking forward to sharing more information as I get to know her deeper. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.